Greetings, my name is Charles Cave and I live in Sydney, Australia. Passive smoking continues to be a problem in busy urban areas. State laws are in place to restrict smoking in outdoor areas like cafes and building entrances. Local councils have installed signs saying, "No smoking." But smokers continue to pollute busy urban areas. Pollution of the air, pollution by throwing down cigarette butts, as well as polluting their own bodies. In 2011, Willoughby Council in Sydney implemented a smoke-free policy in the Chatswood Pedestrian Mall. Despite installing signs nearly 2 years ago, the policy has had minimal effect. I want to breathe clean air in this busy thoroughfare, and I call upon the council to enforce the policy they have set. You can help by lobbying the council for action and calling out the hazards of passive smoking. A two-pronged approach is needed. First, increasing smokers' awareness of the dangers and annoyances of passive smoking, and secondly, to enforce the outside smoke-free areas. The health problems caused by smoking tobacco have been known for most of the 20th century. German scientists identified a link between smoking and lung cancer in the late 1920s and started an anti-smoking campaign, but it stopped because of the events leading up to World War II in Germany. In the 1950s, British researchers demonstrated a clear connection between smoking and lung cancer, but this didn't affect sales of cigarettes. Smokers were well and truly addicted by then. Cigarette smoking has been confirmed by numerous research studies as the leading cause of preventable death from heart attacks, strokes, cancers, and emphysema, which affects the lungs. The World Health Organization estimates 100 million deaths have been caused in the 20th century as a result of tobacco smoking. Sales of cigarettes generate enormous revenue for the Australian government, profits for tobacco companies, and enormous costs to the public health system. Smoking inside office buildings, restaurants and shopping centres has been banned for many years now. This has forced the smokers outside, out onto the streets and into the public spaces shared with non-smokers. So, how many people in Australia smoke? The 2012 census conducted in Australia showed 20% of males aged 18 or over smoke, and 16% of women. Smokers are certainly in the minority. 1 in 5 men and 1 in 6 women smoke. Breathing second-hand smoke, also known as passive smoking, is a health risk. Not only is the smell of cigarettes annoying to non-smokers, but smokers tend to stub out cigarettes on the ground. Cigarette butts often end up in stormwater drains and pollute our waterways and environment. Second-hand smoke causes many of the same diseases as direct smoking, including cardiovascular diseases, lung cancer, and respiratory diseases. Naturally, the tobacco companies will dispute these claims. The impact of second-hand smoke is even greater on children and backed up by many studies. So why do we, the healthy, non-smoking public, have to suffer and breathe smoke in busy public places? The Smoke-Free Environment Regulation was passed in 2007. This Act prescribes the declaration of smoke-free areas and signs to be displayed. But what use is a law if it isn't understood or enforced. Willoughby City Council introduced a smoke-free policy with the aim of increasing the health and comfort of the entire community by introducing smoke-free areas in places where people congregate in close proximity. This was the words from the press release. The Chatswood Mall has been declared a smoke-free area. The mall is a highly populated area with many food shops, outdoor cafes and daily pedestrian traffic of around 35,000 people, including school children and mothers with toddlers and babies in prams. So what do we see today, 2 years after implementing the policy? Smokers walking down the mall, cigarettes burning, people sitting at cafe tables smoking their cigarette despite the no smoking signs on the table, and smokers standing outside building entrances. Meanwhile, the no smoking signs are everywhere and continue to be ignored. It's all very well having signs on seats, rubbish bins and poles, but what use is this law without enforcement? These signs are meant to be understood by smokers that they should not smoke in this area. They can smoke in their own home, but not in these public places. In conclusion, I want to see council officers visible in the mall enforcing the rule. At first, an education campaign should be done for a few weeks, targeting smokers, but keep it light-hearted and fun. How about people dressed up in a costume to target smokers and reward them for not smoking? Maybe offer a bin to put their cigarette and then to reward them for not smoking. Ideally, the smokers should be encouraged to stop smoking. And of course, give up the habit. But first of all, they should be made aware of the penalties for non-smoking and to abide by the laws. I would like smokers to understand about courtesy and respect for the 80% of Australians who don't smoke. Please help me in lobbying Willoughby Council and demand action on enforcement of non-smoking areas.